Hello everybody and welcome to your WPF Delta and Season 15 of WPF, Season 2 of Delta Power Rankings! And we're here, it's Volume, taking you through another power ranking in the WPF. You may have seen the attack power rankings, but here I'm in the league that I am in, it's Delta, and I'm here with my good friend Will. What's up, Will? Will's afraid, he's shy of the camera.
No, I literally you cut out for me, so I thought I lost internet connection.
Oh, good. Fantastic.
I am here now. Yeah. I am here now. Hello. What's going on, WPF fan?
Woo! You know, I was always in technical difficulties. It's been a battle to get this PRs recorded, so I'm just happy that we're here.
Yeah. It's been a lot of scheduling conflicts. Yeah, this has been a long time coming. Now we're finally doing it.
Yep. And let's do a brief notion on power rankings. Power rankings are dumb. They're stupid. They're entertaining though, which is why we're doing them. We're not doing them because we think we have like the critical analysis on everything. Like we think we have like a general view about how we would perceive the teams, but it's only us here. So, and as a result, there's only one ranking for each of us. Like we only rank 15 teams. We didn't rank ourselves. So then, there's two rankings for everyone else, but only one ranking for us. And then and the other thing is, the way we ranked our teams, we ended up with so many ties that this is not really a power rankings video, but more of a tier listing video. So we'll see what we do with that. And you'll see how we ranked everyone at the end of the video, like what our actual numbers were. But there are. You know, we have to do. We ended up with ties, so here we are with a ladder ranking system, like a grade.
Yeah, and we also you got to keep in mind these are just our opinions too. Like opinions can be subjective, but we both have been doing this for about a decade. We kind of know a little bit what qualifies a good draft league team or not by how long we've been playing, but opinions are always subjective, and there's always stuff that can change, or we could be proved absolutely wrong.
Yeah, if you wanna prove us wrong or something, win or lose, depending on where we put you. If you're in the bottom half, win. Upper half, lose. Simple. That's how you prove us wrong. So. Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. This is all good fun, and we're just here so you guys can have some content and get a general overview of what everyone drafted it in one video and what we think of it, what the critical analysis is generally. So, without further ado, let's get into someone with a sharp, a razor. It's Razor Claw, dead last. He's tier D for dead last because we both ranked him 15th. Now I know you know Razor more than I do, Will, so what do you have to say for this team?
Razor is a very creative team builder, and his draft may on paper not look like the most powerful draft. I will say this is definitely a step up from the last Razor draft I saw. And some of these picks were interesting to me, but I can see some reason why they're there. And this team, even though Enamorous isn't the best first round pick when it can't Terra, this team's actually pretty well rounded. All in all, even the dead last team is good. So, because you have Enamorous, you got fast pivots like Raikou, you have slow pivots like Incineroar, you got things like Metagross, the Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and Enamorous Trigalgy Metagross. And then you got Snake supporting Gastrodon, you got Breaker and Heracross, Sceptile, and Sceptile's a pretty interesting Terra choice. And then you got the 1-point Terra Trapinch, which we're not going to overlook because that's actually legitimately a thing that could happen to someone. So, yeah, while I don't think this is the best draft. I thought it was the worst draft. It's still not a bad draft.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's any bad drafts, and I just want to make a quick note that I have all these pictures of the drafts from like a spreadsheet. However, like the move pool stuff is somewhat inaccurate because I'm almost certain that Raikou gets Volt Switch. Almost certain. So, yes, it does. Like, there's a little. It can give you a general idea, but like, there might be some errors. But also, I think this is correct. Razor didn't spend 2 points. Like, he was like, I'm drafting a 108-point team, and I think that's the best I can do. So I respect it, but I also don't think like I like. So, like, when I looked at this team, I'm like, I kind of like the Mons. Like, there's, like, decent pivoting. The speed tiers are pretty good. But at the end of the day, all the Mons feel so underwhelming to me. Like, none of these Mons are like, I'm going to carry the game, except for maybe an Amorous. And, like, but it's not Terran, right? We're playing a low-tier Terran system. Yeah.
An Amorous is, like, an okay round 1 pick. He was pretty late in he was pretty early in the draft, so it's not as like excusable considering something fell to round 3 that probably shouldn't have. Cough, cough, Darkrai. But yeah, overall, like after an Amorous, it feels like a bit of a quality drop. But you know, Metagross got heavily buffed with the DLC. Raikou's still good. Raikou is actually probably one of the only non-water types that actually kept Scald. And I think it's like Raikou and Emboar are the only 2 that kept Scald that aren't water types. So that's interesting. But yeah, overall, I still think this team can put in work, especially considering what kind of a player Razor is. So yeah.
I mean, I think so. I think he could do it. Also, just to note, he didn't pick Dragalge second. I think he made race transactions. So Dragalge is second on the list, but most of these will be in the order that they picked them. But sometimes there's grace transactions, and that's the post draft that we're talking about. So another note there. But yeah, I don't know. He has the pieces that he needs to work with, and I don't know. I think he's like a little bit like. You said he has like a creative ability. Do you think that makes him a little bit of a prankster? Because I think we're gonna go to Sableye at C tier. We got a bunch of people at C, but Sableye is the first, and also because Sableye is the last in alphabetical order. So there's someone below T, below S, that's below above him. Yeah, in the C tier at least. So that's where we're at. I think we're both very passionate about a specific mod on this team, which is it's an Iron Valiant team. And I swear to God, Iron Valiant it's tricked y'all. I say this every time I see it. It's not like it's versatile, but it's not like a carry mod. And I know Will has some personal experience with it.
Yeah, I've used this thing twice. My 2 worst records of Generation 9. So I personally I'm not a big Valiant believer. But, you know, this was my week 1 matchup. I'm not going to get into the results because those haven't come out yet. But the game has been played, and fighting this team, for my team specifically, was a pain to prep. So, yeah, this team has pretty great offensive power. For what it is, like, I feel like there's just some key pieces missing, but Glastrier is probably one of the most threatening Terra captains, and that just adds to this offensive pressure. You know, you got Webs and Araquanid, you got Spikes and Overquill, and just the combination of, like, Iron Valiant, Ursaluna, Glastrier, Chandelure, Jirachi, it can just overwhelm with offensive power.
Okay. Oh, I just want to say, we didn't really explain the Terra system. So you can have up to 3 Terra users, and they have to total to 15 points. And they're locked to their stab, and their 2 other types. No, I don't have them on the sheet. I don't know if we're really going to go into like what types these Pokemon have, because it's not super impactful, but it does make a difference. And if you want to check that out, and we don't mention it, well, I'll have the fan doc in the description. But this team, like, I don't know, it's slow as hell. It's so slow. Like, I can't like get behind a team that's this slow. And Valiant's the only thing that's like really fast at like 116, and then you got Arachi at 100, and Haxus is kind of like, ooh, I'm maybe 100 mod, but I'm 97, and then like 85 Overquill. Like, I don't know if Overquill's running max speed that often, but like, I mean, it does run some speed because it is fast, but like that can't be your like 4th fastest mod, man. Yeah. So I think
having built for this team, the speed tiers were kind of awkward because I had something exactly the same speed as Haxorus.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it's really strong offensively, but yeah, the speed tiers kind of make it not too great. And like I said, Glastrier is a great Terra captain, but the other two, I don't really see the use.
I'm a believer in Driftbloom Terra, okay? I'm a believer that it might pop off. But the Sandslash, I'm not really sure. And to your point, this team does have a lot of offensive power. Like, it's just slow, and that like gets me. But this team has 100% the ability to punch holes in teams. But it's not really going to outpace a team. And, to me, it seems like I kind of, like, the top 3 mons, like Iron Valiant, Jirachi, and Ursaluna carry this team. Or maybe a Haxorus gets a DD up. I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going to carry it away. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll maybe it'll be like a sweet treat to see this team take a W. But we got Muffin, which is a sweet treat. Muffin at sea. There we go. I made it here. They got a Sneasler Rillaboom team, and honestly, I mean, it's not bad to me. Like, I'll say the obvious here. Like, you look at the first 6 mons, you're like, those are real Pokemon. Then you look at the back 5 mons, you're like, those are not real Pokemon. That's what I think.
I mean, Blastoise is a thing.
I mean, kind of, yeah, sure. You can count. Maybe you can count the Blastoise. Maybe you can count the Typhlosion Hisui. I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, Archelodon outside of rain's interesting. I get new toy syndrome, but that's an interesting choice. But you know, you can't go wrong with Sneasler, Zapdos, Rillaboom. I don't like that Crocodile is the ground type because it really benefits from having Earthquake, and I know you can make the argument, oh yeah, high horsepower exists, but you want to click Earthquake with that thing a lot. And not having the ability to click weaker Earthquakes in grassy terrain, I don't really love it.
You're going to miss that high horsepower.
Typhlosion is a really good Terra Captain, though. Sometimes Eruption can just be spammable, especially with a team like with this great of offense. If you can get like the offensive breaking power to get Typhlosion in, like through Sneasler and Rillaboom and Zapdos, then Typhlosion can just clean up a game with like Scarf, Terrafire, Eruption. But yeah, Blastoise is kind of a saving grace for this team. Like, I feel like kind of needed the spin option. The Spiker is Carkol, which isn't really that great. And like, you have Carkol, Crocodile, and Screamtail for rocks. Of those 3, what would you run rocks on? Most likely Crocodile, but then you're also wasting some of Crocodile's potential, I feel like, if you're running rocks on it every week. So yeah, overall, I'm not really sure how I feel about this team. Like, I like the Sneasler, Zapdos, Rillaboom, but other than that, I'm not really sure how to feel.
Yeah, I mean, I like the beginning of the team, like I said. I don't like the end of it, but I mean, like, it's got nice speed tears. It's got like at least 2 things above 110, which is pretty good. I think the Screamtail screen support, like, this team will find wins easily with like Sneasler, Screamtail, Zapdos, Rillaboom, like those guys. They know how to win. The rest of the team, no, I'm not a believer in whether they are knowers of wins. But they are. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Typhlosion can do something. I don't see the vision with the other Terra users, but maybe Muffin sees something different. But it's, you know what? It's Danny Mac. we're jumping to there. It's Danny Mac, C tier. Again, it's alphabetical so Danny Mac. I did the names on the spreadsheet is what I used. So as the titles here, but we got a strange team as well. Like, this is a new toy. Like, he's like, I want to use Iron Boulder. I want to use I want to use Terra Torterra, like with Shell Smash. Which that thing could be scary. Like, this thing is like not weak by any means. It just like, I feel like it lacks like synergy.
The problem with Torterra is Mirror Herb exists.
Yeah, Mirror Herb is rough.
Yeah, and like Danny's probably got to be thinking people are gonna bring that against him, so he's got to be ready for that. As far as Iron Boulder, I know with Terra that thing's an absolute menace. Without it, I'm not really quite sold on it yet because its typing is just awful. Like, yes, it has a good attack stat and a good speed stat, but that typing is just horrendous. So, I was talking to a couple of friends, and we noticed that this is a very Iron Bundle weak team. Until he picked up Lapras, this team kind of gets shafted by Iron Bundle.
Yeah.
Lapras is supposed to be the saving grace from that.
I mean, like, where's the bulky water on this team? I don't count. I like Lapras, I guess. I don't. That doesn't really cut it for me. Like, bulky waters are something you kind of bring like most of the time. You don't really want to bring Lapras most of the time. So
yeah.
And I mean, he's got sand. I like sand, but like Hippowdon Excadrill sand is always a little weirder to me than T-Tar Excadrill sand.
Yeah, so I would have definitely liked to have seen a T-Tar, but I get not wanting double rock types.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, Heatran might be a little scared of this team. There's 3 fucking ground types. There's 3 fucking ground types on this team. Like, I don't know. It looks fairly balanced. It might have the power to win. I mean, it definitely does have the power to win games. Do I think it's like the most... I don't really see the vision, the cohesion, and like, I don't know. The failure resist is Excadrill. Mandy is their ghost resist. And I know it's hard to like manage all these things, but like...
There's no grounded poison either.
Yeah, like, it's just missing a couple things that makes me like not super excited about it. Whether or not I think it will take home some dubs. So, and like, it's hard to, when it doesn't meet the checkbox, it's kind of hard to rate it highly.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, we'll see what kind of arc Danny goes on in here, but we got arc right now at C tier. The top of C tier is arc. This is our last C tier pick, and this was my week 1 opponent too. So I guess like it looks like a fairly balanced team, but like right off the bat, you notice like, where is the power on this team? Where is it? So
I mean, I'm a big fan of the top 2. The top 2, great mons. I just feel like, you know, there could have been a flying type. Azelf is the flying type. And we hark back to, you know, the last pick being Danny. Danny has Excadrill. This team kind of just folds to Excadrill.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess Ogerpon... there.
It's gonna get +2 X Scissor.
I suppose so. I don't even know if we can take a +2 Iron Head. So
yeah, or that. Yeah. So this team, I wish there was a flying type there. I really do, and I wish I had like spike support too. Those are my 2 big gripes with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my biggest thing is like what is the star of this team? I'm not really sure, and like it looks like a pretty balanced utility team. Like a lot of things, he has a lot of stuff to go with here. Besides like maybe more things off the ground. I mean, this is like a really nitpicky point, but I'm like, it kind of sucks that Cinderace is 119 and doesn't break 120, and. I don't know, like you got some strong, somewhat strong hitters here, but really only Ogerpon is cleaning games super easily with its speed.
And this is the Ogerpon Teal, so it doesn't have that additional 20% attack boost either. So
yeah, it's a little weak.
Run an item, but it's also just the Ogerpon that relies on running an item, and once that gets knocked, you're not dealing as much damage as any of the other Ogerpons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely like, I feel like it has potential, but it feels like kind of hard to play when you don't have like one dedicated carry mon. But we'll see where Arc shoots his arrow here, because we're going, I mean, I guess shoots his bolt with Raging Bolt, because we're going to Crossbow, who's king of the C tier, C plus tier, the only person at C plus tier. This is a little bit ahead of everybody else in the C clumps. So remember, like we're going to these in order, but they're all in the same bunch of teams. Like that's why we're like this one could be better, this one could be worse. It doesn't really matter. We're going in alphabetical. So we got Crossbow's team, and I think we actually, if I recall, differed in our opinions on this team quite a bit.
Very different. Yeah. I'll let you talk first because you like it.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like I kind of like this team. Like it's a little janky and stuff, but like it's the real superstar part of this team. It's just as fast as fuck, and I love speed. You got 5 mons above 100. Like that's insane. And I mean, like you might be missing some lower tier speed things, but like you can move fast, and you might be able to outpace anyone before they can do anything. Also, like I like the Slow King Goldango defense. I really could have probably used a defensive Dark, but you got a Weavile, which I'm a big Weavile fan. I feel like this thing is very good as like a carry potential mon, and you got like, you know, some nice like middle tier breakers in the Sandy Shocks and the Cleavor. The Cleavor can clean for you if you want to slap a scarf on it. It's got a massive attack stat, and Sandy Shocks is also really good. So like these mons can punch some holes, and so besides speed, there's also like a lot of Volt Turn on this team, like a lot of momentum ability. It doesn't really come up on the spreadsheet. I guess it's missing some moves, but like a lot of his turn can like move around, and he's got the Slow Cane for chilly reception. And I don't know, at the end of the day, when I looked at this team and I was ranking it, I was like, these are really fast, has some Volt Turn, it can like chip things and run away, and just like move, hit first, and it also is kind of strangely balanced. So yeah, I don't know what you now completely dunk on it.
Okay, so this is probably the one where our opinions were the most varied on, because I do not like this team. And that may just be me. Maybe it's that abomination I see, the evolution of a great Pokemon. Why ruin a great thing? I mean, it is its turn. For those of you who do not know, my mascot is Dunsparce. And yeah, I was not the biggest Dunsparce fan. It is a pretty solid Terra Captain, and I will give it that. But the poison type is Muck. You know, Muck's not really where you want to be with a poison type. Also, I feel like compared to like some of the higher teams up, those first two are worse than the higher teams like top 6. And that is where I'm kind of, you know, drawing the line. And like, this team does have 2 steel types with Goldango and Cobalion, but Cobalion doesn't count as a steel type. It doesn't resist Fairy or Psychic, which are 2 important types a steel type needs to resist. So like, I don't know. I don't see it. Like, yes, it's fast, but I just think this team is lacking a lot of power. I think round 1 Goldango was kind of not great because I think there was much better stuff on the board. Cough, cough, Darkrai. And
I mean, Crossbow picked after the Darkrai went. Crossbow was in the back.
Not
of,
round
back of
1. Darkrai was still on the board round 1 when he picked Goldango.
No, it wasn't. He straight up. Darkrai was picked right after me, and so I don't have Darkrai. And Crossbow was after me. Crossbow was later in the draft.
Okay. No. Okay. I thought Darkrai was on the board round 3, but I got that mixed up with the other round 3 one that the Darkrai team has.
We'll get there. There.
There were a lot of better options than Goldango on the board, and that's where I'm kind of not liking it. Like, I feel like both round 1 and round 2 there were better options than Goldango and Weavile, and that's where this team kind of loses points from me. Like, I just feel like the fact that it could have been so much better, but
yeah, I mean, I definitely. Let's be real here. So like, I rated this team like 7th or 8th, I think, and you rated it 15th. So
yeah,
or 14th technically, so I thought it was like it's just a middle of the pack team. So I do hear where you're coming from, where it's like it could be better. But I think it has enough of stuff going for it that it's kind of hard for me to overlook. Like, it'd be like, it's like kind of like a little bit ahead of everybody else in the bottom half of the teams. So,
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. We're kind of wrestling for control of our vehicle here. Perhaps we'll get into a wreck. A WreckItMike is at our first B tier. We got one more after him. And this team is a Paladin team. So, but also a DoD round 2 team. And I'm not, or like, you know, it's, yeah. I think Mike was the wheel, but I don't really get the DoD pick. So I don't know. And it's also got a Chi and Aurora Veil. So
I'd like to think that Deoxys Defense was the round 1 pick. Just to justify the ranking at this low.
DoD R1.
I know that Mike's a very good player, so I'm not going to knock him too much. But yeah, Paladin, great. Chiyu, great. Broken Fish, you know. Iron Treads, I had it last season in Delta, and it was like a staple glue piece of the team. Like, the fact that it does pretty much everything, you know, it sets rocks, it knocks off, it spins, it earthquakes, like, it volt switches. Like, Iron Treads is just a very, very solid glue piece for a team like this. And then you have Aurora Veil paired with, like, Komo, and that is also terrifying. Clangorous Soul behind an Aurora Veil, that kind of goes crazy. And, like, Lurantis, I'm not sure if he chose Stellar as one of his Terra types, but Lurantis with Stellar Terra is terrifying. Like, no pun intended, but that's nasty. And Kilowattrel too, great Terra user. Just great Terra user.
Yeah.
So overall, I think this team is very, very solid, which is why we put it in B tier, but I feel like the round 2 DoD is kind of what docked points, or as I like to think of it, the round 1 DoD because he was wheel pick.
Yeah. I mean, I see the angles with this team for sure. Like, it's definitely got some strong, like, Palafin will win you games. Chiyu will probably win you games. Aurora Veil with strong things will win you games. Komo will win you games for sure. And just to clarify, yeah, he is Stellar on Lurantis. So,
yeah,
it's pretty solid.
Lurantis kind of goes nuts. So
yeah. Like, I was thinking, like, does the DoD really knocks it? Because I'm like, is this good? Was it really worth it to pick DoD here? Like, there's almost no way DoD probably went in the next rotation. But maybe he just thought this was a crucial pick. I just don't think it's that. I don't even think it's that good of a mon by anyway. So
DoD lasted less time than its other counterpart that's legal.
Yeah, it did indeed. I mean, yeah, I guess this even has stuff to work with, right? You got the Aurora Veil Chiyu breaking screens, treads removal, like Como comes in and like you're scared as hell, so it's got something good. But I mean, DoD like fell from the stars onto this team, but I think we're gonna go to Lars. It rhymes. This is from the stars. This is for Sun Team, the #1 star of our lives. And I never know how to rank Sun teams, but well, why don't you take this one away? Well,
as someone who just used the Sun Team to grade a Veil, I'll take this one because I really like it. You know, I've been a high believer of Double Dragon for a very long time, and Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, scary Double Dragon core. You got Meowscarada, one of the best pivots in the game. Mm-hmm. You got Venusaur, an amazing Sun Sweeper. You got Slitherwing, also a great pivot. I have regular Rotom on the Sun Team I just used. I really liked it. Then Florges and Rhydon as the Terramons. Both not bad. They're both decently bulky and have offensive breaking power. Skarmory to set hazards. There's not a lot of wrong this team can do because this team is just very, very powerful.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. Like, Sun is scary. Like, I don't want to. Like, I don't know. I don't think I rank this team particularly high because I'm like, doesn't really have the balance to need to do all the things. But on the other side, I don't want to face this team ever. Like, I don't want to. I don't know if I do. I will be. This looks like a nightmare to prep for. And the only reason why I'm hesitant on Sun teams is because I kind of ran like probably not that great of a Sun team last season at WPF in attack, and it didn't work out super well for me. So I'm like always a little hesitant. Like, you know, is that Torkoal really gonna do all that you want it to do? But I mean, this is committed to Sun, and it's like photosynthesis everywhere. You know, like it's. You got the chlorophyll, Venusaur, man. Like, I don't know, but like, it does rely on the Sun a lot because like the fastest mods are Wake and Masquerada, and then after that it's like 91. Like those are those only things that break 100. It's kind of hard to get multiple things that break 100, but like, still,
I team that's fine though because you have chlorophyll.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like, I'm thinking outside of the Sun, which maybe like, I think it's kind of hard to play the team always in the Sun, even except for when your only Sun setter is Torkoal. So
yeah, I mean, sometimes you like to account for things in the Sun though, especially if you run like Heat Rock. With the Sun team, you can afford to do that. So. I'm just really high on Sun based on my results with it. So maybe I rank this team a little bit higher than I should have. I still think it's very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's respectable to rate this team high. And I also think it's respectable to be cautious of this team. So you don't know what you're gonna pull with it. But you know, I mean, this team, it's got a slither wing. It's got one bug under the sun. But let's go to another bug who prefers the rain, I think. It's a spider. It's not because he has a rain team. I think it's because of the itsy bitsy spider kind of thing. I don't even know if maybe they don't like the rain. But whatever, we're here at Spider, our first B+ team. And we got one more B+ on the way. But let's get into it. I think we might have differed on this one a bit too.
Possibly. I mean, Spectre Quaquaval is scary offense, but I don't like Rampardos. I don't like Veluza. I'm not a huge Earthworm or Pheasantipity or even Cyclozar guy. Thundurus, meh. Like, I was not the biggest fan of this team. Like, Spectre Quaquaval is terrifying. Like, don't get me wrong, any strong fighting type with Spectrier is terrifying, but I'm just not feeling this team as much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the rankings. I'm like, maybe I overrated this team a bit myself. You put him at 12. I put him at 2. So this is my second best draft. I don't know if I don't know. I guess I wasn't super inspired by a lot of the drafts in this. Like, I saw what they were doing, but this one, like the Koala Spectres, like that's a scary thing. You got a lot of like utility mons. Like Ting Lu is really strong. Pheasantipity, Cyclozar, Orthworm. I feel like it's like a nice bulk structure to like kind of play a balanced game where a lot of everyone else is kind of running hyper offense. I think Spider's in the balanced angle, and that's what I kind of liked about it. I felt like it was a pretty good a balanced team, and like I mean like the speed tiers are pretty beautiful. Like they're almost perfect. It's what you want to see, and you know, what is it? I don't know about the Veluza, the Rampardos, but like I do know like I don't really want to try to be going through a Tinglu, Cyclozar, like Fez Worm kind of bullshit. I don't want to deal with it. And I think like it's just got like I just think it has like enough of a way to maneuver around that it makes sense. But I know like I am looking back on the rankings now. I'm like, did I really put this team second? So,
yeah, that's rough, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it's probably because like nothing else felt like it super got to me. But I mean, like I guess there's some things you didn't point out. It is kind of like it's special attackers. It's like Spectre and Thunderous, and everyone else is kind of like whatever. But it's got some good breakers. I mean, on the other hand, like the ground types are. Like, you got Orthworm is, like, sure, Orthworm can Earth Eater, but, like, it's not like it has, like, does anything back to a ground type. So,
yeah.
It's got some flaws.
Yeah. There's also no grass type on this team, notably, and, like, that could be troublesome. Yes, there is Orthworm, but, like, and the only flying is Thunderous, so, like, once Thunderous is gone, ground types could be a bit of a struggle for this team offensively. Like, you just said that, but besides, like, Orthworm and Thunderous, ground types eat this team alive.
Yeah. That's actually one of my notes. Ground types question mark. Yeah. But you know what? I'm gonna sprint away from this one. I'm gonna sprint away from this ranking. I'm dashing. I'm running. Wait, what's that beside me? It's a DashingSceptile. Holy shit! And I like this team. I like the DashingSceptile team. It's a snow team, and I like and also it's a regenerator team. I think that's like it's kind of so disgusting to play into. I don't know if Excalibur is a first pickable mon, but I mean, it certainly has its merits. So,
with Scale Shot, it's debatable.
Mm-hmm.
It could definitely be around one pickable mon. The fact that he got Galarian Slowking to pair the snow with it makes it a little bit better, and he got Torn T as well. The 4 Regenerator mons is really nice. Crocolore is a great defensive Terra option. Fun fact, I originally drafted Palossand and then dropped it in the grace period, and he ended up picking it up. And Lokix is a phenomenal Terra user. I don't know how many of you all in the comments have watched PPL the first season, but Don Mephisto with Lokix, he showed why that thing should always be Terra banned. He just was clicking Terra Bug first impression and just murdering stuff with it. And I think that is a reason why Lokix is an amazing Terra user and possibly I'd say a top 3 Terra user. One of them I mentioned before was Glastrier, and another one I'm going to say, spoiler alert, I think is on my team, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And overall, I think this team, it's solid. It's not the best team, but I think overall it has potential.
I think it's got. I mean, it got so many. I don't know. Maybe the regenerator core is getting to my head, but I don't know. I like it. I like it. The Terra low kicks is terrifying. Terra Crackle, like you said, defensive. I think that this Sand Slash is also really scary under Terra with the ability from Chilly Reception from the Slooking. But like I don't know, like the win cons on this team is like kind of what I question it. Like I guess there's the low kicks can always pull off, but like then you got like backs is always win con, maybe Plot Torn, and like the Sand Slash. Like I don't know, I don't know how to feel about it, but I kind of like it. But anyway, you were talking about your team. Well, where there's a will, there's a way, and it's you. Your 9-man hyper offense team. I know how to think about this team, but it's up here because I rated Will number 5. So I don't know if I should attack Will's team or let Will go first.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Knock it and I'll defend it.
all right. Let's do this. So I mean. It's their Shifu team. That's always a scary first round mon. And, you might notice there's an R3 bundler on this team. And it's also kind of ridiculous. And the Hard Flame is a super scary offensive threat. So I'm like, those three, like, I don't want to play against. The rest of the team, like, I don't know. It doesn't, like, it doesn't hold up a ton, but, like, I guess it's a really good hyper offense with, like, the Glamora and the Comfey kind of really keeping it together, and Scizor can revenge pivot, and Landorus can just be another scary threat. I think Terrabellable is legit, and I think Kamala is like, it's your ghost, answer. But
Kamala is there for the sole reason I do not lose to Spectrier.
Yeah.
That is Kamala's job.
Yeah.
And I believe Comfey is truly too broken with Terra. Comfey with Hidden Power was a monster, and now it can change its type too. I firmly believe they should have Terra banned it. And I drafted it round 4 because I thought immediately, Terra Comfey's kind of broken. And like, yes, there are countermeasures to it. Psychic Noise exists now, which is a little bit annoying, but I think Terra Comfey is very, very powerful, and I'm really excited to use it. Gen 9 is the most offensive format draft has ever been in, and I drafted insane offense. I think this is my best draft this generation, and I do know that there are some weak points, and I will say after week 1, I made a couple of transactions, which I think helped patch the weaknesses of that team a little bit. But right now, I see Urshifu. I see the best Urshifu revenge killer on my team in Comfey. I see Scizor and Glamora, which can take down those fairies that Urshifu doesn't want to deal with. And then you have Ogerpon and Iron Bundle, which are just very, very hard hitters on both on the physical and the special side. You got Landorus, who I believe has fallen off a little bit, but it was still a 14-point sheer force Landorus. That's hard to pass up.
I don't know, man. I think that's your like Gen 6, Gen 7 brain talking. I mean, Landorus is strong for sure. But like, I think I don't really understand. Like, it's a hyper offense team, and that's hard for me to understand. But I still like respected it because I can kind of see the angles here, and that's why I ended up rating it pretty high. I think the top 3 are just so good. I don't know if I'm sold on the Comfey Terra, but you'll have to prove me wrong here in the rest of the season. Also, like, this is
it's broken.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm convinced it's broken.
Okay, you'll have to convince me too. Yeah.
That's why I took it round 4.
I mean, like, I'll attack you one more time here, which is like, you got a couple because your team is a 9-point hyper offense team, like, you got a lot of random things, like, Shifu's your rock resist, Bundle's your water resist, your ground immunity is Lando Eye, it's a hyper offense team. You're gonna take what you can get and just hope you can power through it. And just to be extra nitpicky, I'm like, whenever you draft like a 130 plus mod like bundle, you're like, damn, I have something super fast that speed tier's all covered up, and then you're like, wait a second, I'm not gonna get something at like 120. Your next mod's 110. Like, it's like such a nitpick thing to be like, you should have had a 120 mod in there. But imagine the speed tiering if you had a 120 mod. So.
I do have something faster than bundle after week 1. Spoiler alert! You guys will have to watch my video to see that. But
yeah, I mean. That's the bundler, but I don't know. I'm gonna start screaming. I'm gonna start shouting because it's loud sound volume. It's me. That's me on the screen. Oh my god!
So I ranked this exactly how you ranked my team. I thought it was the best team overall, and I like the first 2 picks. You needed a grass starter. That's why I docked all those points from you. No, I'm kidding.
Damn. I should have
known. You got a fire starter, you got a water starter. Where's your grass starter, buddy? Sinistcha doesn't count.
Sinistcha is a grass starter. It's a grass starter kit for tea.
Anyway, I feel like Clefable fell off a little bit because recovery moves got nerfed in general. Glide score is fine even without Roost. I think you actually sniped me of that, so thank you. Tentacruel is also solid. It got Flip Turn now, which is really good for it. Vikavolt without Roost, I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but it's a solid Terra user, and I have lost to Terra Sinistcha a lot, but I think the teams I rated above yours are just so insane that's why you took the number 5 spot, just because I think the 4 teams I rated above yours are better than yours. But Lycanroc Dusk is also a great priority user, so I like your team. But
Thank you. I also like my team, but I do think it's like a strange team for me to have drafted. Like I don't imagine myself like I drafted back to back Clefable, Gliscor, Tentacruel, Bronzong, and then Sinistcha. Like that's some bulk. I don't play like this. I don't know if it's gonna work out for me.
My team, the absolute opposite of my team.
Yeah. To the Clefable point, it's a little weak, but I still think it's like one of the premier fairy types in the league, in the draft. So it's like, I grabbed it, I got to R3, and I was like, I feel like I need to pick up a fairy or I'm not getting a good fairy. So, and the Gliscor pick, I'll be honest, was a bit of a whim pick. I wasn't really sure what to do with my R4. And then I was just like, I just felt the Gliscor in me.
I was going to take Gliscor round 4. So
I felt it in my bones, and my people telling me that it's a good mon, and I was like, I don't know, it doesn't have Roost, but I was like, it's got.
You were the one person that sniped me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know you that well.
Yeah.
I mean, another point about Gliscor, like I'm like a Nat Dex player in brain, so the limited stuff in Paldea really gets to me. But I do like that there's limited toxic users, so when you actually have stuff like Gliscor and Tentacruel that can press toxic, it feels pretty fucking good to be like, I know that I'm not gonna get toxic, and I got the toxic guys on my squad. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know, but like let's enough about us. We could go on about ourselves for so long, but we got we actually 4 teams above us. Let's go out of the shadows into the Stitch. That's ShadowStitch coming in at number 4. Now I don't know if this is your top 4 team, but
no, it definitely wasn't.
But I like this team. I like this team a lot.
I actually had WreckItMike at 4. So.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I trash talked his team a little bit too much.
The DOD got to your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I had WreckItMike at 4. So I had ShadowStitch at 7. So yeah, I mean, this team to me, it looks well balanced, but I just felt well balanced wasn't cut it compared to the 6 teams I had higher than it. Like, I like Latios. I like Jolteon. He had like another 7 points to pick a Terra user, and he didn't. So he doesn't have another legal one, but
yeah.
Still, I feel like that's a little bit of wasted potential there. But overall, like, I think this team's pretty well rounded. But like I said, I ranked it 7th, and I think the 6 teams we talked about, Lars, yours, and WreckItMike's, I ranked all of those higher, and then the 3 teams we have yet to talk about were also higher than this. So, and like I said, I'm like a firm believer in Sun. I liked your team a lot more than I liked this one, so that's what I have to say about that. But I still think it's pretty good. But those were the teams I ranked ahead of it.
This is my 3 team, and it's because like it's just. I guess what I'm realizing what our dichotomies were here. Like, you're of a more like hyper offense kind of angle, and I'm of a more like balanced kind of angle. And I don't know if like either one is super correct, but I don't know. This feels like such a nice like balanced offense team. I mean, I get your point. He only used 1 Terra user. I think I watched his draft analysis, and it was like, I wanted to get better Mons than search for a 7-point Terra user. And honestly, I can respect that, because I don't think there's that many low-tier Mons that will always fit your team that can be Terra'd. So I can understand the only going with Jolteon. And in fairness, Jolteon might be like top 5 Mon you could have chosen to be a Terra user at the low tier. Like 130 base speed, electric ice coverage, all you really need. So and you can run some fancy stuff because you have, if you want to, if you've had the foresight. But I don't know. I like the power on this team. I like the Latios. I like the Zapdos Galai. I like the Zoroark. Like the Zapdos Zoroark Hisui combination. That's your like nice fighting ghosting, hitting fast, hitting hard. You got the Hammerot, which I think was picked early. I'm not a super huge Hammerot believer, but I felt like it kind of fits this team well, where it kind of can switch into like a hyper offensive mode, even though it's got like a Heatran and a Weezing Galar and like a Dawn fan, and like Superiors like sometimes toes the line as your utility mon, but it could also sweep teams. So
I'm not a huge Superior believer because it can't Terra. Like, it lost hidden power and it can't Terra, so like I'm not a huge Superior believer. I get why it's there. I get, you know, the reasons to pick it. I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that for sure. I just think like it could always provide like Glare Leech Seed's utility and then sweep randomly with the Leaf Storm pop off. Like it's something you always have to keep in the back of your mind when you're playing against it. I think that factor is pretty. I value that pretty high, and I also value like the Heatran Weezing Galar core. I think that's really a nice duo that's going to serve this team really well. And you know, you got numerous cleaning options with the Jolteon and Superior and the Latios. Even like the Zoroark Hisui, you can slap on a scarf. Hammerot, you can slap a scarf on. You can do whatever you want. You might be running a lot of scarves for fun because like that's the items you got, and it's a pretty fast team. Now there's like a gap between the 177 marks, but like I don't know, fast is good when you're running these kind of offense teams. I like it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
for sure,
we'll see if it like punches holes in some teams, punches them to their doom. The FistToYourDoom. This is a team that Will really liked, so I'll let him take it away.
Yeah. Well, how can you not really like the top 3? Look at this top 3. How did that happen? Okay. So the late round Annihilate was also really nice. You know, I've been a big Granbull believer. I've been playing this game since Gen 6. Granbull was definitely a very popular Gen 6 fairy type. And I believe Iron Thorns is another one of those top 5 Terra users. I believe Iron Thorns with, like, Terras that we already mentioned, you know, Jolteon, Comfey, Low Kicks, and Glastrier. I believe it's in those top 5 Terramons. Then you have Volcanion, which is just an immediate offensive threat. You have Corviknight, which is one of the best defoggers in the format. I wish this team had a Rapid Spinner to go along with the Spikes offense, but It unfortunately does not, but also I really like Spike's offense with Annihilate because it can spin block and it can have Defiance, so it pressures defoggers. So I really like Spike's stack with the combination of Darkrai and Annihilate. Darkrai Chomp is amazing, and Deoxys Speed on top of that when it was picked round 3. Deoxys Defense, like I said, went round 2, and Deoxys Speed went round 3. I believe that is absolutely criminal, and I think Fist got a really, really strong team.
I'm a bit of a hater on this team. I'm a bit of a hater. I mean, it's like, I put it 8th, I think. You can verify at the end of the video, but, you know, I get it. Darkrai, Chomp, Dio Speed, that's pretty scary. Annihilate, that's pretty scary. Rest of the team, I'm not really convinced. Like, Corviknight, sure, it's a good defensive mon, but like this isn't like it's the only real defensive mon on this team. So I don't know what it's gonna do. I don't believe in Vileplume. I don't believe in Granbull. So those are like maybe I'm just like discounting those. And the other thing is like I don't believe in Terra Thorns. Maybe I'm just fucking stupid. But I just don't know. But I don't know if it's really the mon that you want to carry your team, especially when that's the mon on the team that has to break bulky waters. Because what the fuck else is breaking a bulky water? It's Iron Thorns. I don't think it can. I'm not a believer.
You rank Spider's team rank 2. So therefore my argument here is
yeah, but like I felt like Spider had like I don't know. I liked the angles with the Spider's team. So
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I mean I definitely see the weaknesses of this team, which is why it was not my number 1. But on further reconsideration, this might end up being like my 3 or 4 because like I believe that the 2 teams we're going to talk about are probably better than this one, but one of them I upon first glance I did not think was better than this one, but I do think it will be in the long run.
Yeah, I mean they got some flaws and stuff. I think again it comes down to like we disagree on balance versus hyper offense. And I just don't think this is the hyper like that.
I believe this is a hyper offense focused gen. Like I believe the hyper offense teams do incredibly in this gen. So
perhaps you're just simply more knowledgeable than me. I'll see if the hyper offense teams I'll take over the league. But
yeah.
Let's get to our top 2. Let's get to our champion of this league. It's cbmarcus at S. So, and remember, there's an S plus team. You can figure out who it is, but we're gonna talk about cbmarcus first. I don't know. Dragon King Gambit.
This team was my number 1. So yeah. This team's pretty insane. I am a huge Terra Shiftry believer. Like, Terra Shiftry is phenomenal. Wind Rider, great ability. The fact that you can change your type to effectively get off a Tailwind and get an attack boost makes Shiftry so much more threatening. I have 1v1 to Blaziken with a Terra Shiftry. A speed boost Blaziken. And, like, Fion, for 1 point, like, the fact that he got that 1-2 punch of Shiftry and Fion for 2 and 1 points respectively as Terra users, Fion also gets the move Take Heart, which, you know, it's Calm Mind that removes any status condition from it. Fion is actually sort of a threat now. And Sylveon, also just a great Terra user. And that top 3, Dragapult, King Gambit, Ogerpon, Wellspring, that is terrifying. And then you have Iron Moth on top of that, another base 110 speed threat. That's pretty insane too. And then you have Thunderous Therian too, which is just an amazing special breaker. Like, I just love this team. Necrozma as well just adds some added bulk to it. Like, this team's insane for me.
I mean, I'm a slightly less hot. It is my number 4 team. But I think, I don't know, like, I really like Pult. I really like Gambit. I'm not sure if round 2 Gambit by itself is super good, but cbmarcus was first pick, so we also got the Wellspring. And I think Ogerpon is pretty good, but I'm not convinced without Terra. Like, maybe, it's definitely strong, but we'll see what happens. And Like the Terra Sylveon is definitely going to be a problem. The Iron Moth is like another strong mon to have this to sweep. The Thundurus is also a sweeper. I'm not really sure. I've never been sure what Necrozma does, but it can do whatever. I'm pretty sure it's like budget Mew. And now it's got its own powers and stuff to deal with. I don't believe in Fium. It's 80 base all around. It doesn't. I looked at it. I consider it. I was like, I know why this is the 1-point mon. Like, sure, it gets Take Heart, but like, it doesn't have a move pool to really make use of it. Terra Shrifty at 2 points, I think that's pretty scary. I don't know. At the end of the day, the reason why this ends up higher than a lot of teams for like on the, because this is like a hyper offense team. This is like, I feel like it has enough of a background to like kind of dip into like a more of a bulky offense kind of squad, and I like that. I dislike that it, like the speed tiers are a little wacky with like 142 to 110. I guess that's my same problem. Like, oh, you should have got a 120 in there. Like, I don't know. But it's, at the end of the day, you got like 3 mons that are 110 and above, and they're all really scary to prep for. So, yeah. what more can you really ask for?
I lost connection for a minute, but I'm back now.
Okay. Well, I think we can move on to our number 1 team, unless. I basically like it was basically bulky offense. It kind of pseudo bulky offense to me, which is why it ends up like higher as a hyper offense team because of the Necrozma and the Sylveon, and it's got pretty fast stuff too, which I respect. The 2 110s is a little weird, but who cares? You got 3 mons above 110, they're all scary as fuck. But I think this team, I don't know, it's missing a little bit of sauce for me still, even though it's top 4 for me. But I was going to talk about some Greyvee. That's my number 1 team right there. That's S+, because I think that worked out that like Greyvee, I don't remember the math, but Greyvee has averaged 2 and cbmarcus averaged 3.
It was number 3 for me, but looking at it, I think this might be a little bit better than this team, so... And this is also after me having used Terapagos myself and realizing it's a lot better than I initially thought it was. So, yeah I believe, like, I had not used Terapagos yet when I made this ranking. I have used it in 2 games now, and I am a firm believer that Terapagos makes this team at least number 2, maybe number 1. I like cbmarcus's team a little bit more, but I still think this team is phenomenal.
I guess this team converges on what we like with hyper offense and offense. I honestly, so this is regular Terapagos in here. I guess I'm gonna put Terrestrial because that's what Greyvee is using. So it's a little scarier than what it seems on the dock. And I have to play this thing week 2. Not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of like 120 base stab, whatever it is, normal base stab, the star move. Like that's so dumb. Not a fan. And it gets like a million moves. It can set up, it can toxic, it could whatever, hit everything that it wants to hit ever. It's an annoying mon. And on top of that, yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say the fact that he got that so late in the draft is ridiculous to me. I took it round 1 in the league. I have it. I believe this is truly a round 1 pickmon, and the fact that he got it in addition to just the rest of his top threats, I think is insane. Iron Hands too. That mon is usually 2 for 1ing you. Like usually it'll kill 2 before it dies, and that's also just really insane. And Chien-Pao, Landorus, Primarina, I believe those top 3 are very self-explanatory. I'm not a big a fan of the Terramons, and Swalot as the poison type, I'm not largely convinced of either, but I believe this team is absolutely terrifying. So,
yeah, I just thought it was such a well-balanced team. Like it's the Lando T Prima Hands combinations and then like the Terapagos. I had a question mark it, like, and then I realized it's probably the GOAT. I don't know if it's the first. I think it's probably like R2 R3 pick still. I think it's strong, but I don't think it's the best. But paired with stuff when you got like a Chien-Pao who might actually be one of the best, like top 4 mons you could pick. Yeah, like having that in the back is super annoying to deal with because like that mon's super strong, and I don't know, it just it just ends up coming together. I know like the Espeon, Virizion, like I think Espeon's pretty strong. Like I think the Swalot is like it's your budget poison type. Probably wanted something better, but like I don't know, the speed tiers are kind of nice too. I mean, you're missing like the 70 stuff, but like again, that's kind of nitpicky. Speed tiers only matter so much. And you got the Talonflame, hit that in between your 130 mon and your 110 mon. I don't know. I just think this team, like, it's like hard to find a hole in this team to punch because it's got like so many. It's like so well-rounded. Well-rounded.
For sure.
And last pick, Duraludon, just coming in. EVL lighting it up. I don't know.
Yeah. EVL light on a base 530 base stat total mod.
Let's send Duraludon to LC. I want to see what happens.
Oh, it got banned in LC in like 30 minutes. Or no,
I thought it got banned before it even came out. Before Archaludon came out.
Yeah, it got banned the second Archaludon was announced.
That's what they're like, we can't have this shit. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I mean, that's our rankings. That's S+. There's no one tied at S+. Greyvee was our best. You can see our overall final rankings right here. And we could you can kind of see where we agreed. Like we thought, like Sceptile was like he's kind of middle team. We put him in the middle. Like you can see the big disparities, like we talked about, like crossbow and spider. Those are big. But most of the stuff we were pretty close together on. Like I guess Sableye we were pretty different on. But those are like the three big ones. Everyone else kind of within like a couple. I guess Fist. We're big on Fist. So yeah. It's interesting to see how these panned out, and I'm kind of excited to see how this season will go. It's my first Wi-Fi season. Battling on Wi-Fi is so much harder. Having played week 1, like it's like what the fuck.
I mean, you have less information, and like last season of WPF Delta was my first Wi-Fi league. I've been in about 10 now in the last 6 months, so yeah, I'm a bit more experienced in Wi-Fi, but
you're grinding,
I'm still kind of new to it. Yeah,
I can't play that many leagues. I can only play like max 3. So
yeah, I've been in like 10 total over the past 6 months.
Yeah, so like a league is like, you know, you take your 8. I guess it's only 2 months, so like that's like, but that's like assuming they're like 2 months. That's like 4. It's like. Fuck. Let me do math. Yeah. That's like you got 3 periods, so you have 4 leagues per period per 2 months. Yeah. So that's a lot.
Yeah. So it is.
Well, thank you for joining me on this quest and doing these PRs with me. I like doing PRs. I think it's always fun. Remember, these don't mean anything. We'll see what the actual standings are. That's what really matters. Win if you want to prove us wrong, or lose if you think like Greyvee. If you want to lose a little bit, like if you want to lose to me week 2, just so my ranking is a little bit wrong, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's the WPF Delta Power Rankings conclusion. I hope you guys all enjoyed our discussion, and please just comment. You're flaming us, make fun of us, or agree with us. Do something like that. Anyway, this is Volume signing out.